On the night of March 7th, 2019, the most accomplished wide receiver of the 2010s had been traded. Well, at least we thought. Respected NFL insider Ian Rappaport broke the news around 11:30 at night that future Hall of Fame wide receiver Antonio Brown was being traded to the Buffalo Bills. Brown, who 2 years prior in 2017 signed a 5-year extension to stay with the Steelers through 2021, was heading towards a divorce with Pittsburgh. This was provoked by his Week 17 practice incident, where he started going off on teammates and, according to some people, even started throwing footballs at some of his teammates, including Ben Roethlisberger. That and Brown skipping practices that week led the Steelers to make him inactive for the season finale in 2018. A couple of weeks before the trade was announced, Brown had met with the Steelers owner Art Rooney, and both sides agreed it was time to part ways. But based on Brown's farewell post on social media to Steelers fans, which was a week before that meeting, we already knew it was headed towards that direction anyway. Brown had a big contract and was even the highest paid wide receiver in the league when he signed his deal in 2017. But the problem for Brown was the lack of guaranteed money. Therefore, he forced his way off the Steelers, and for about 2 hours, it looked like he was about to be teammates in Buffalo with Josh Allen. Although Brown was about to turn 31 and wasn't going to get a long-term extension, he had just led the league in touchdowns and nearly had 1,300 yards in 15 games. The guy was still an elite player. Even though he was showing signs of going off the deep end based on his actions, NFL teams still wanted that talent. As we know, the deal with Buffalo fell through. It seemed like the Bills wanted AB, but AB did not want the Bills. And from Buffalo's perspective, you cannot trade for a disgruntled player and make him even more disgruntled. Antonio Brown even commented on the NFL's page on Instagram saying it was fake news. It didn't matter how desperately Brandon Beane wanted Antonio Brown. They could not make this trade without his commitment of playing. Beane did confirm that they had trade discussions with Pittsburgh, but based on a statement he made, the Bills were ready to shift their focus elsewhere. We inquired about Antonio Brown on Tuesday and kept talks open with the Steelers. We had positive discussions, but ultimately it didn't make sense for either side. As great a player as Antonio Brown is, we have moved on and our focus is on free agency. There was also this rumor going around that AB had an affair with Rachel Bush, who happened to be Bills safety Jordan Poyer's wife, so maybe that had something to do with it. None of the parties involved confirmed this, so we'll leave this as a social media rumor. You can believe what you want on that one though. While his potential trade to Buffalo fell through, it didn't mean that other teams were not interested. 3 days later, more news broke, and this time AB was being traded to the Raiders. The Raiders granted his contract wish, rewarding Brown with a 3-year, $50 million deal and $30 million guaranteed. Based on his quotes, Brown was excited to be a Raider, but I think we all know how that one went. Brown went on to say, "I'm here to be a surge of energy, positivity, and good force, a great teammate, and to bring out the best of everyone around me, because we all know it's not just about me." Well, that could not have been further from the truth. After a frostbite issue, helmet issues, skipping practice, fighting with the GM, and more, Brown was released by the Raiders before appearing in a single game. This also meant that Brown received none of the guaranteed $30 million he signed up for over the summer. Instead of going through the motions and suiting up, Brown's contract was voided, and he was also fined over $200,000 for his antics in the preseason. He played 1 game as a Patriot before being released in 2019 and spent 2020 and 2021 with Tampa. He did win a Super Bowl in 2020 and possibly had the weirdest end to any career we've ever seen a year later. As for Buffalo, they clearly dodged a bullet. GM Brandon Beane said it perfectly a year later once reflecting on everything. "You know what? Here's one of the lines we have. Sometimes the best moves are the ones you don't make." And that happens, and that's so true. The Bills may not have landed a superstar wide receiver in the 2019 offseason, but they did land John Brown. Brown actually had a solid year with over 1,000 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and 72 receptions. A year later, though, was when they finally got their hands on a superstar wide receiver that they had been craving for. The relationship between the Vikings and Stephon Diggs was heading south, and in a stunning move, the Bills acquired him for the 22nd overall pick and a few picks later in the draft. Diggs in Buffalo has been a stud. In 4 seasons, he's had over 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns in every one of those seasons. His first season in Buffalo not only only helped the breakout of Josh Allen, but saw Diggs lead the NFL in yards and receptions in the 2020 season. As for AB, he has not topped over 600 yards in a season since leaving the Steelers. Although it hasn't resulted in a Super Bowl for Buffalo, it's safe to say that they made the right move here. Does Josh Allen become Josh Allen without the addition of Stephon Diggs in 2020? We may never know. But if AB pulled the stunts in Buffalo like he did in Oakland, that would have been detrimental to the Bills organization. It would have been interesting to see how Antonio Brown would have played in Buffalo, especially with Josh Allen after his year 3 breakout. Brown, despite being in his early 30s, was still an elite wide receiver on a per-game basis, but his injuries, suspensions, and other drama got in the way of that. As for Brown currently, he's 35 and has not played in the NFL in over 2 years. His career is most likely over as he focuses on music, Boomin' Productions, and being the president of Donda Sports, which is Kanye West's sports agency that I'm not even sure is still in business. As I reflect on the career of Antonio Brown right now, I wonder if he does get into the Hall of Fame or not. Obviously, his on-field production would say he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but does the off-field drama the past few years take that away from him? Remember, it took Terrell Owens 3 years to get in, and he had better numbers and played longer than Antonio Brown did. Had Brown not had all the controversy around him, he'd be a no-brainer to make the Hall of Fame, but it will be interesting to see how this plays out in 2027 when he's eligible. Anyway, that'll do it for this video of the trade that never happened. I hope you all enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe if you did, and I'll talk to you guys next time.